Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. We're interrupting your regularly scheduled programming with breaking news. ABC News has learned that Israel has launched an attack on Iran, likely targeting Iran's nuclear sites. Tensions have been mounting in the region for several days. President Trump told reporters earlier today that it could happen at any time. We want to go right to Selena Wang, who is at the White House for us. Selena, what's the latest reporting?
Well, Lindsay, we don't have details on the size or the scope of this attack, but earlier today I had asked President Trump just how imminent an Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear facility could be, and President Trump told me that it very well could happen. But he also stressed again that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and made clear that he would prefer a diplomatic resolution to this. The president also said that last month he had warned Netanyahu not to launch such a strike. The president is concerned that this attack could actually derail ongoing U.S. and Iran negotiations. The president has been signaling for many weeks now that he believes the U.S. and Iran are close to a deal. But then just in recent days, the president has become less confident. But his envoy, Steve Witkoff, Lindsay, he is planning to travel to Oman for scheduled talks with his Iranian counterparts on Sunday. This is after multiple rounds of talks between the U.S. and Iran. The president today, as of just hours ago, still optimistic that an agreement could be reached. We'll see how this changes things.
Selena Wang from the White House, thank you. I want to go now to Marcus Moore in Tel Aviv, who's in a shelter there. Again, we just talked about these escalations and what it could potentially mean for these peace talks, which we were expecting to happen just days from now. Marcus, what are you learning?
Well, Lindsay, I can tell you that the tension has already, as you know, been high across the region. And just moments ago, the air raid sirens went off here in Tel Aviv, and there was an announcement on the loudspeaker here in the hotel where we're staying and working, and it urged everyone, the guests, to get to the shelter on their floor. And so that's where we are right now. Just to show you around just a little bit, you can see they have some supplies in here. There are cots, and guests have also joined in these shelters to try to get to a safe place. Because, Lindsay, the concern has been all along over any potential Israeli strike on Iran that there would be a response. And so following what the Israelis have called a preemptive strike tonight here in the Middle East, in Iran, they soon after that sounded the alarms for anyone really across all of Israel to get to their bomb shelters, anticipating that there would be a response from Iran, and a response, Lindsay, that would be quite swift. And what we have heard from the Iranians is that if any of their locations were hit, whether they're nuclear or not, that they would respond in kind. And so that is why there's been so much concern here tonight.
And we are taking a live look at Jerusalem at this moment. Marcus Moore, thank you. I want to bring in former State Department official and ABC News contributor Colonel Steve Ganyard. He joins us now. Steve, obviously it cannot be overstated here just how widespread these implications are.
Indeed, Lindsay, and we want to find out what actually went on here. Apparently, President Trump told Benjamin Netanyahu just recently that the U.S. would not participate. So this seems to be an all-Israeli operation. Now, the Israelis do not have bombers, so they aren't able to drop the kind of ordnance that would penetrate deep into the buried sites that the Iranians hold their centrifuges. So the question here is, what did the Israelis hit? We are seeing some reports in Tehran that some air defense sites and military sites within Tehran have been hit, but that's not really the nuclear program, and that was the intent of the strikes tonight. The other thing we need to think about here, Lindsay, is that the Iranians have thousands of missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles that can reach Tel Aviv, reach Israel. And so obviously Israel's on alert and expecting some sort of a retaliation from the Iranians quite soon.
And Steve, just want to stay with you here because we are just hearing from a U.S. official that the United States did not have any involvement. They were not in no way assisting with Israel in this attack. You have to imagine that this was the last thing the United States wanted, certainly not in anyone's best interest.
President Trump has been holding out hope that the negotiations that are going on in Oman were supposed to go on Sunday would actually lead to something, but has also been very frustrated. The Israelis see the ability of the Iranians to create a nuclear weapon as an existential threat, and so their ability to tolerate the kind of delays that we've seen out of the Iranians is very different from the U.S. So Benjamin Netanyahu made the decision to do what the Israelis have literally been planning for decades to do, and that is go after those nuclear sites to try to set back the Iranian nuclear program.
All right, it looks like Israel has begun military operations against Iran. This information just started to come out. We've got reported explosions in Tehran. We've also got the first report that Iran may have launched a ballistic missile towards Israel. What's happened in the last few minutes here has been pretty fast and furious. Appears Israel changed their directives on the home front. Quite a few Israeli citizens have been moved to bomb shelters and across Israeli Telegram channels right now, kind of the first ones putting this information out. We're seeing things like war with Iran. Israel began a preemptive strike, aircraft on the way. The entire country is in bomb shelters, alarms all across the country, things like that. So again, as of right now, it sounds like the initial wave of the Israeli strike is beginning and ongoing. Wait to see how quickly Iran responds and what the scope of this attack actually looks like. We did get more and more information in recent hours that the United States was not planning on participating in this strike directly. They may be sharing intelligence. They may even assist with some targeting and or refueling operations, but there's no indications at this point that United States aircraft are overhead or participating in this operation at all.
Shalom. First and foremost, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who will rule and teach well. Peace and blessing salutations to the hopefully elect. So yes, things are picking up. Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai is making moves in the earth. You have contentions here in America and also abroad. All right. So today, as you saw in these opening clips, Israel has launched a quote-unquote preemptive strike on Iran, and this is ringing alarm bells all over the so-called Middle East. And this is all because the Lord is gathering these nations together for war, ultimately towards the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, where the Lord is gonna judge these heathen nations and take them out of their rulership. So we're in a very prophetic point in time. Things are happening very fast, man. You see? So as the scriptures say, you know, we are to watch and be vigilant, okay? You have June 14th coming up. They're talking about protests exploding all over America. You know, there's been reports coming out today of these paid agitators attacking the Marines. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot going on. All right. You have Whole Foods markets, you know, shelves becoming empty because of a cyber attack, and food becoming scarce, and jobs continuing to be lost, man. Hey, Yahweh Shai is coming back very, very soon. All right. Israeli military conducts airstrikes on Iran. Okay, which this is one thing that we've been anticipating. I mean, if you've been watching what's been going on between these two nations over the past 3 to 5 years, I mean, you've already known that eventually Israel was going to make a move, especially since Trump came in office, and he's pretty much been pressing Iran to stop their nuclear program. And Iran pretty much said, to hell with America, to hell with Trump. We're going to do what we want to do. And really the only reason why America was pressing Iran to stop the nuclear program is because Iran and Israel are in close proximity, to where Iran, in their line of thinking, would you know, launch a nuke on the nation state of Israel. All right, which them Iranians, they're not on the offensive. I mean, just look at this right here. The Israelis struck first. All right, Iran didn't go out of their way to, you know what I'm saying, provoke a response out of Israel. So these devils are provoking the nations round about. And this is why very soon you're going to see Turkey they're going to leave the NATO alliance. You see what I'm saying? And even NATO is going to disband very soon. And it's all behind what these small hats and America Babylon the Great are doing. So let's get into this. 2 U.S. officials said there is no U.S. involvement or assistance. The Trump administration has been in talks with Tehran on a possible nuclear deal and argued against such a step. The Israeli military has begun airstrikes against Iran, 2 U.S. officials said Thursday evening, a dramatic escalation that increased the chances of an all-out war between the countries and expanding the long-running regional conflict. There is no U.S. involvement or assistance. Israel confirmed it had launched a strike on Iran and declared a state of emergency early Friday local time. Right, so right now, them Israelis, they're in bunkers, they're in shelters, okay, because they don't know what's coming next. And over the past few years, especially since Trump has came in, a lot of them small hats have been leaving the land. All right, so look, it's pretty much obvious by this point that the people that are there in the land calling themselves the people of the Lord are not that. All right, they're far from that, man. Okay, they are Edomites from the tribe of Amalek. That's who they are. They are not the true Jews of the Bible. All right, and I'm not anti-Sem for saying that, because I myself am descend from Shem. All right, they say anti-Sem, but it's really Shem. Okay, so let's get that straight first and foremost. But yeah, man, those are not the people of the Lord. They don't fulfill prophecy. When you read the scriptures, it tells you that when the real Jews get back into the land, that they would know war no more, that the whole earth would be at peace. Well, these devils that are over there, they don't fulfill that. All right. As a matter of fact, since they stepped foot in that land, it's been nothing but war. And now you have all-out war that's on the horizon between the small hats and the nation states around them, man. So it's really going down. All right, the Lord is forcing the hand of these heathen, and there's, we're at the point now where there's no turning back. These things are not going to die down. All right, you have many wars being waged across the earth, and there's new war fronts brewing. Okay, following the state of Israel's preemptive strike against Iran. Let's go into that word preemptive right here. All right, preemptive. Serving or intended to preempt or forestall something, especially to prevent attack by disabling the enemy. Serving or intended to preempt or forestall. Okay, yeah, same thing. All right, so they launched this attack on Iran to stall the enemy. All right, to prevent an attack. But did Iran come out and make a statement and say that we're gonna attack Israel? No. All right, Iran is like, look, we're ready for whatever you're going to throw at us. But right now, look, we chilling. All right. But Israel went up in there under the orders of Netanyahu, and they committed airstrikes today, which, hey, that's a major provocation of war, because Iran now is a part of the BRICS. Okay. So you're going to see Russia, China, North Korea, all right, South Africa, they're all going to get involved in this war, man. All right, and that's pursuant to Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. We can go there real quick. All right, because, hey, the Lord is making moves on this earth, man. Very soon you're going to be seeing there's going to be war drafts, okay, conscription, which we've gone into the lesson showing you that this is where it's going. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is forcing these nations' hand, okay? Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, and at the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. 22. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pains. All right, so in verse 20, when it says that the least of the flock, all right, that's referring to the nation state of Israel. Okay, they were established in what, 1947 or 1949? No, Slovakia, 1948. They were established. All right, so amongst the Western powers, okay, because Israel is a part of that, right? They're the youngest nation and they're also the smallest. Okay, there's not many small hats within that land, and they're also surrounded by you know, the wait, it just slipped my mind, man. You know, but they're surrounded by Muslim nations. Okay, they're surrounded by Ishmael, Elam. All right, so over there in the Middle East, they are the least, man. All right, they don't really have a big presence over there, but because they have the blessing of the sword, they've been given power to continue for a short season. But now their season is at an end, and this is why, pursuant to Job 20 and 27, it says that the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. Okay, so right now the earth is rising up against these devils, man. Esau, he's being put out there on Front Street as the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right, and like I said before, there's no going back. There is no let's deceive more and nah, man. Esau's been found out. All right, and this is why the Lord put a spirit on these nations to come against these Edomites, man, because this is their time to be taken out of their rulership. They've destroyed the earth. Okay, but yeah, the least of the flock is referring to the small hats, the Amalekites within the land, man. All right, surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Right, they're drawing these nations out to war. Right, because hey, like I just said, Iran didn't launch a strike on the Israelis. They struck first as a quote-unquote preemptive strike. All right, so now we'll see what Trump is going to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you already know that America is going to get involved. America is going to have to get involved. Who knows what NATO is going to do? Because at this point, the fact that NATO is dealing with Ukraine and Putin on that war front, I seriously doubt that they're going to come to America and Israel's aid in this war against Iran and the BRICS. I highly doubt that. You see? As a matter of fact, pursuant to biblical prophecy, Revelation 17 and 16, the beast is going to hate the whore. All right? And we've been seeing what's been going on with that. I mean, the relationship between America, Babylon the Great, and their European allies has soured within the past 5 years, especially. All right? All the policies and the blowing up of the Nord Stream pipeline and, not really being there, not giving support to Europe like that. So Esau's house is divided, and like Yahushua said, if Satan cast out Satan, how then can his kingdom stand? So we're at that time where Esau, he's losing it. All right, he's in great straits right now. But yeah, you see what's going on with these devils. All right, it says the move appeared to be a significant break with the Trump administration, which has been in talks with Tehran on a possible nuclear deal and argued against such a step. And see, there is going to be no nuclear deal because the Lord don't want no nuclear deal. The Lord want these nations to duke it out. All right, he want them to go to war and destroy each other. All right, then Yahushua with the hosts of heaven, the angels, the chariots, they gonna come and finish these heathens off. All right, that's biblical prophecy, man. So there is gonna be no let's stop the nuclear war and nah, man, it ain't no going back. This is it. You know what I'm saying? We're at that time to where great death is enveloping the earth. All right, Israel has become more serious about attacking Iran as negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear closer to a preliminary agreement that include provisions without uranium enrichment that Israel views as unacceptable. See, so this is all about Israel. Okay, Israel is pretty much scared that because Iran knows that they've been trying to get at them, that Iran is going to use a nuke on them. All right, so this is a preemptive strike to prevent such a thing happening. But see, all that's done now is escalate things to the point of no return. All right. So again, military drafts are coming. All right. And this is about to be World War III in real time, man. Okay, it's about to be a lot of death out here. All right. We'll call Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, man. See, this is why it's so important to be grounded in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man, because we have the truth unemphatically. You know what I'm saying? We have the truth. We got the breakdowns. We see what's going on to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Shai. All right. This is why the prophets, the men of the Lord, have been set up in these last days to give you warning of what is to come and break it down via prophecy. All right. To make these things plain upon tables, man. All right. So now we can go 2nd Ezra's, the 15th chapter. All right. Because the scriptures speak about Iran, okay, in these last days. 2nd Ezra's 15. And 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. All right, so the dragons of Arabia, all right, them so-called Arabs, Ishmael, all right, they gonna come out in this World War III booming. All right, they gonna come out in this World War III with a mass army, man. Just you wait and see what you gonna see in the news about Saudi Arabia, and they gonna gear up their troops and all that. Look, man, it's coming. All right, shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. 30. Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. So it's prophesied that the Carmanians, which are the modern day Iranians, all right, Carmania is an ancient name for Iran or the Persians. And see, when you deal with the scriptures, right, you're not going to see America, you're not going to see Europe, you're not going to see Africa or any of these new terms that we use today, because ultimately when you deal with the scriptures, it deals with the ancient names of lands or the ancient inhabitants of those lands. All right, because you know, really what you have now is you have Esau. He's removed the landmarks, he's perverted history to where now everything is all mixed up. All right, he's really given his name to the lands in which he conquered. All right, so this is why it's important when you read the scriptures to go into, you know, these certain names and really get into what it means, because otherwise you'll just be lost. All right, so the Carmanians, right? Let's see here. Carmanians. Right, so when you go into the Carmanians, the people mentioned in 2nd Ezra's, the Carmanians are represented as joining battle with the nations of the dragons of Arabia. The dragons gain the upper hand but are themselves defeated. This has been taken to refer to the time of the Sassanids. Sapor invaded Syria and took Antioch, but was repulsed from Odanthus. All right. Let's see this again. Yeah, it's for some reason it's not given. That's not really what I want. Let's see. All right, this will probably be better. Okay, here we go. Carmanian, a member of an ancient people that probably lived north of the Persian Gulf. All right, so you know this goes into the Persians, man. The modern day Iranians. Okay, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. Okay, so the Lord is going to give these Iranians, these Carmanians, power. Okay, to you know, go in with great force against the war, against these Western powers, man. All right, 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be trouble bled and keep silence through their power and shall flee. All right, And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. In the modern day, Assyrians would be these Babylonians, all right? These so-called Americans, man. All right. Verse 34, behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. Okay. Now we'll go to 16. Okay. Because these 2 Ezra 16 and 17, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish shall send as scourges for a minute. All right, so we're in the beginning of wars. All right, the beginning of famine, great death. All right, the beginning of evils upon the earth. Okay, and the prophet Ezra said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? So him seeing these visions and the destruction, the great death, all the wars going on, chaos in the streets, he was greatly afraid, because he's looking like, damn, this is out of control. Who's going to save me when these things go down, right? But you see, in these times, we don't have that spirit, because we trust in Yahweh Bashmel Shah. Not saying that Ezra didn't, but him not fully understanding what was going on in these visions, caused him to be afraid, which, even us in this time is going, we're going to have, fear in the flesh, just seeing certain, because you have to keep in mind, like, the stuff we're going to be seeing, we've never really witnessed these things before. Even if you watch the most graphic, R-rated movie, that pales in comparison to what these times are already going to be like. All right, because when you watch certain movies, like Civil War, The Road, Book of Eli, movies like that, like apocalyptic, like films, I Am Legend, like they can't just go all out and just show you the most bloodiest, goriest, like grape, like they can't show all that, because it's even though it is rated R, there's certain there's just certain things that they just can't do. All right, but when it really goes down out here, you're gonna be seeing the most gruesome, most graphic, violent, all right, most grimy stuff that you never witnessed, man. And it's gonna shake you up in the spirit. All right, this is why it's important to have the Lord, man, because without Yahweh Bashmel Shai, hey, the scriptures tell you that men's hearts shall fail them for fear. All right, so we're in the midst of these days, man, and as we always say, things are going to get much worse before they get better. So yeah, all right, these Israel won't smoke. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Lord is going to give him, man, drawing these nations out to the World War III. And check this out, it's also showing you again that them small hats, they not the people of the Lord. This is not what the children of Yahweh Bashmel Shah will be doing in the last days, man. Look, Israel declared ex-offender paradise as government protects law-granting pedo safe haven. All right, so you can't make this up, right? In the midst of Pride Month, okay, which they be having the biggest pride parade over there in the land of Tel Aviv every single year. But notice how this year you don't really hear too much about the pride events and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure it's still going on, but that's not the focus. All right, now the focus is, these protests and these riots that's going on, all right, in the streets of America, coming blackout. That's what people are more focused on and talking about. All right, but in the midst of that, you got this right here. All right, this is a P to the E to the D to the O safe haven now. Okay, which no doubt it's always been like that, but this is now law over there. All right, Israel's controversial law of return, once intended as a safe haven for use, is now being widely used by convicted and accused pedos who flee to Israel to escape prosecution. and find protection under the Israeli government. So you got a whole government full of perverts, man. Okay, full of child molesters. So you don't think the Lord about to wipe that place out, man? And see, look at this, right? I'm not sure when this happened, but I'm pretty sure that this happened this week. But as soon as they made this move to do this, right? Because our land is completely defiled with these heathen over there, man. But as soon as they made the move to, you know, make this law, that's when the Lord put the spirit on them to turn it up, to make them go and strike Iran. All right, so hey, the Lord is cold, man. The Lord about to get them heathens up out their land. All right, so now you know you're gonna have the Carmanians coming forth with great wrath, and all the other nations as well gonna come against these small hats and get them up out of there. All right, their time is very, very short, man. You see? Let's go Revelation 16. Revelation 16:12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And we're here, all right? We're at the point where the kings of the east, they're about to make their way into the so-called Middle East, and they're gonna do war. Okay, they're gonna be in the valley of Yehoshaphat, which is in that Middle East region, and that's where the Lord is gonna judge these heathens round about. Let's get that. All right. Yeah, let me see. If I spelled that right, on one of them kings. See, I think I'm gonna type in valley. And Joel 3. Let's start at the top. The nations will be judged, for behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Verse 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fast overflow. For their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. All right, so yeah, the day of the Lord is very near upon these heathen nations. Okay, it's all about to go down, man. All right, so with that, I'm gonna close out right here. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying through the Rakah Kadash. Call her Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakah Kadash. And until the next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kom Yashala. Wa Babu Bo.